Hello, true believers. I know I'm a little late to discuss my latest EMDR session, which was last Thursday. But there's pretty good reason. This past Sunday, September 20th, my wife Damari and I celebrated 12 years of being married. We took the weekend, and for the first time since I think we were trying to say 2007, 2008, we had a babysitter for the kids. So we actually got to go out on a date night. Um, Went and had some great food at Mojito's Tapas restaurant, and then went to watch a movie and decided to go see Ant-Man. I, if you know me, you know I'm a big comic book geek and introduced Damari to that years ago when we were dating. It was a very good movie. And to be honest, if you haven't seen it, it was about halfway through when I looked at her and said, "We're gonna own this on Blu-ray when it comes out." So, you know, went through the EMDR session and was kind of rough actually. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. And had celebrated the weekend with my wife, so didn't really blog until now. And yes, I do have another EMDR. Today's Tuesday, uh, the 22nd of September, and I do have another EMDR appointment day after tomorrow on Thursday. Like I spoke about before, where I was driving by a church and had a repressed memory come back and punch me in the gut. And I'm learning to use the term repressed and not forgotten. Forgetting is what uh, lazy people do when they don't show any passion. Repressed is what your brain does for you to survive. Um, so we actually discussed, she wanted to go deeper into that at this EMDR session. It was hard because during the session, as we were doing everything, I peeled back more layers and came across in that whole situation of some more repressed memories I didn't know I had. And they were hard uh, to deal with. Um, so that night and the next day, I really was trying to understand all of it. I mean, there's a reason your brain represses something, um, and to have it come back years later and then try to examine some things, and we're still working on the things that happened to me aren't my fault, like I was told they were, and like I've believed most of my life. Um, that's a hard thing to rewrite in the brain. Um, if I hand you my phone and say this is a car, and I've told you that from day one that it's a car. Well, if someone comes along 40 plus years later and tells you that that's a phone, you got some rewiring to do to learn that in your brain, and that's kind of where I am. So we went deeper. There we go. More into that situation, and it's weird when you unlock some repressed memories. In some ways, you kind of take a step backwards in your therapy because you're immediately the progress you've made in saying that these were things that happened to you, not happened because of you, and then you sort of unlock some stuff you didn't even know was there. It's hard not to immediately go right back into this is happening because of me, or this this happened. Sorry, that's the PTSD, is you're reliving it, but this happened because of me. So I was shook up, to say the least, but I also felt hopeful. And we talked a little bit afterwards, and I think I was also shocked and surprised because now I'm starting to realize as much hell as I went through that I get stuck in, the PTSD, there's a lot more stuff I locked away. And I'm starting to come across that. And that kind of leads me to the other day. Was playing with, being a stay at home dad with a 4-year-old beautiful girl and a 1-year-old, beautiful, I can say beautiful, I don't care, 1-year-old beautiful son, while the two oldest are at school, we do a lot of playing, as most parents do. We're playing dolls, we're watching Sprout, and we're singing. Funny, I said Vosh, which is, if you have kids and you watch Sprout, the song, Vosh, and of course I love watching Wally Kazan with him because I think it's the catchiest title in the world. Wally, Wally, Wally. All right, you can go look that up. Adriana, our 4-year-old, loves to play. She's at that age where she likes to play teacher. She likes to play restaurant. She likes to play these real life things. Um, so she wanted to play restaurant, and we did. And once again, punch right here, just with a sledgehammer. And a memory that I had repressed, and for wonderful reasons, for obvious reasons, came back to when my parents used to own a restaurant downtown here in Louisville. I'm not going to get too much into it because I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. I don't mind talking about it, I just don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. But, sorry, was there. PTSD right there. And was really down. And I have a core group of people that we stay in a text group. Damari is obviously one of them. If there's anybody I'm close to that I can talk to in the entire world, it's my wonderful wife, Damari. 12 years of marriage. This January will be 15 years total time together. You don't just do that and not communicate everything. Jarrell's godmothers, Candace and Nora, and a dear friend of ours that we've adopted into the family, so to speak, Gabriella. And I told them about the memory, and I really just sort of put in quotation marks, geez, how effed up, we know what I typed, effed up am I? And they did a good job of explaining, those were situations I was put in, not they were my fault. But it's hard. I know that's what I'm going to go in when we talk to my EMDR session with my psychiatrist on Thursday, day after tomorrow. I want to talk about that and see what else about it I can remember. And that's the hard thing about that's the high risk, high reward thing about EMDR. And I was warned about this ahead of time from both my wonderful psychiatrist, as well as I've been very public about this, and some people had responded back to me that they had gone through it. I'm not sure why anybody feels like they got to keep this stuff a secret. I mean, I lost almost 100 pounds through hard work and training and running, and I shouted that from the mountaintops, and that was fixing my muscles, that was fixing my body. I'm gonna do the same thing when it comes to my brain, but I need to talk about that with her because I'm not sure how to deal with it, and it's a repressed memory that shakes the foundation of a lot of things I believed that were good. I don't have that anymore, and that sort of shakes me down to the bare core of who I am. So there's a lot of work I'm gonna have to do, and I know that means to go through that work. To do that work and to get to a better place, I'm gonna need to go through some darkness I didn't know existed. So I'm not scared of that. I don't want that to come across this way. I'm not fearful of the work. It's like when you get on a roller coaster. Your stomach's gonna end up somewhere in your mouth. You're gonna scream your head off. When you're going up that hill and it's ever so slow and you're looking down and you're like, oh my goodness, but when you're done, you're a much better person. Same thing running a marathon. it's 26.2 miles, and you'll doubt yourself, you'll love yourself, you'll hate yourself, you'll question everything about yourself. But man, the moment you cross that finish line, you are a different person than when you started. Um, and I compare a lot of since running that first marathon. I compare everything to that, to be honest, because I'm a firm believer if I can carry my behind 26.2 miles, I don't have an excuse to say I can't do something. Uh, so the tattoo in Roman numerals 26.2, the date of my first marathon, 4:30:11. It's a reminder, really. It's why it's my inner arm. It's a reminder when I get tired, when I get beat, when I beat myself down, when I am getting beat down, to look at that and remind myself what I can do. Uh, this repressed memory is just hard. Um, but in examining it, and who knows what I'll uncover more when we talk about it on Thursday, I understand why my brain did it. I'm a little bit thankful. Uh, but I will say one of the nice things is, when you're bipolar, when you're diagnosed being bipolar, because those are diagnoses, those are not definitions of who I am. When you're diagnosed as being bipolar, you get if you get on that mania where you're just up here, you ride and ride and ride, and everything is sunshine, roses, gold coins, wonderful. And then when you're down in the depression part, and I can't go down enough where you guys can see my hand on camera, um, you're in despair. You're in a soul crushing despair. Uh, and prior to the tools and weapons, for lack of a better term, that Dr. Davis has given me, as well as the medication, with the revelation of this repressed memory, I haven't gone down. I've been able to. I think the first couple of days was really sort of stay afloat, for lack of a better term, tread water. Went into my anniversary weekend where that really, wasn't even in my mind. It was just the fact that my wife and I were celebrating 12 years, and that's pretty damn amazing. Um, and I'm grateful for her. And then I think afterwards, Monday and Tuesday, it just kind of was like, okay, we'll deal. I journal about it, which is what Dr. Davis wants me to do, and said, okay, we're going to deal with this in our next session. We'll deal with it on the couch. There's, no reason to go, the sky is falling, and woe is me. So it's on my mind, but it's not occupying my reality. And I'm busting my ass to not let it. I don't want the old mood swings to happen and yell at the kids, and because that's not fair. They didn't do anything. And then I'm just completing, I'm just another cog in the cycle, so to speak. So, little things like, basically on Mondays and Tuesdays, 3 of the 4 children have swim lessons. So I'm just getting back from third swim lesson. So things, there's a lot to be proud of. There's a lot of moments I have to look around and just be like, holy crap, I am blessed. And to be grateful for those silly moments. If it's Jarrell just randomly running up to me, hugging my leg, asking, holding his arms up for me to pick him up, and then just give me a kiss and immediately ask to be put down. That's it. If it's Adriana and she wants to play dolls, or she wants me to read to her or anything like that, cool. If it's Ayana and her and Annabelle getting in the car and for the next 40 minutes them telling me about their day in detail, I love those things, and I soak those things in. I'm not a fool. They won't be there forever. And I don't ever want them to be an adult and ever say, my poppy, my dad was too busy or too occupied to pay me attention. So I do things with the kids separately, so they also know how well they're loved. So it's been a little bit of a tougher toe. Some reason today I've really been physically exhausted. I'm not quite sure. You may notice a difference even in the way I'm talking, but I'm not even quite sure why. Um, but I'll be okay, and I think that's another victory. If you're bipolar, is something there's a hiccup on the journey, and you're going to be okay. It's going to take work. I'm not blindly just, ooh, it's going to be okay because I said so. But it's going to be okay. I'm not going to continue being a victim of horrific traumas that happen to me anymore. I've let too many people live rent free in my head, and as I like to often say, it's the first of the month, and rent's due. Um, so I mean, it's I know it'll be tough. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel Friday. I plan on going back to blogging. Usually the day after my EMDR session, I'll blog this Friday. I'm not sure how I feel. I do admit one thing about EMDR is doing some more research, and if you know anybody or yourself are going through some PTSD, I highly recommend it. You can research it 100 million different ways, and you'll see it has a 98 efficacy rate, a success rate. And at the same time, there's kind of this wonderful glittery feeling, like the next 24 hours after you have it done, that you just the memory doesn't control you anymore, so you have hope, and that's the best way I can describe it. The certain memory you discussed just doesn't control you, and it doesn't hold you in this grip, so you just feel hope, and that is a wonderful feeling to have. And if you've gone through any traumas, hope is the one thing you just don't have when you're going through it. So however many years later, to get hope and relief from those traumas is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Um, and lastly, I just would like to reiterate happy 12 years to my wife. And this Sunday, the 27th, a week later, is another big deal for me. It will mark my 1 year anniversary since my stress induced heart attack. Um, 6 months ago, I flat out told my wife, I know I'm going to have another one, and I don't think I'm going to survive it. Because that's where I was. Mentally, emotionally, just that's where I was. As I come up on a full circle around, full lunar cycle, a year later, I'm in such a better place mentally, emotionally, physically, just better. I'm probably won't make a big deal about celebrating it other than just to myself, because I'll wake up and I'm still here. I'll have some quiet time to myself at the time I had the heart attack, just reflect, and probably hug my wife and the kids a little bit tighter that time. And then I'll just go on with everything else and be grateful for that. But I kind of add that as a second birthday, which is, less than a month. My original birthday, October 17th. So it'll be nice. I'm doing all right. It's beating well. Last Saturday, as a matter of fact, no, it was Saturday because we went out that night. I ran 10 miles, and that's the first double-digit run / longest miles I've logged since the heart attack last year. So that was pretty neat. And then I will still, like I said, I'm a race ambassador now for the Kentucky Derby Festival mini and full marathon in April, so I'm excited to train for that. I'm excited to get those 20 miles in. I love that feeling, that time on the road by myself, just in thoughts, and that accomplished feeling of being like, when you're walking around doing stuff, because I run early in the morning, walking around doing stuff like, I ran 20 miles today. You don't tell anybody else, but you just feel differently. And I am curious to see what it's like running a race with now understanding my PTSD diagnosis, understanding my bipolar diagnosis, and handling those things differently. Instead of beating myself up when I cross the finish line because I didn't run it fast enough, or I could have run this area, this section of the race fast enough, to really just be proud. I look forward to that. So, feel free to leave any comments below, and I'll talk to you guys again in a few days on Friday. So, much love. Stay good, y'all.